Tony and I got married at an early age, and back then, we didn't have much. But from the very beginning, Tony was determined to create a better future for our family. Shortly after we were married, Tony joined the Army and we moved to our first duty station at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Those weren't always easy years, but they taught us the importance of sacrifice, faith, and commitment. What I've always admired about my husband is that he's the same person at home that people see in the public. He's honest, he's humble, and he genuinely cares about people. He's a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grandfather. Tony and I have been together for 43 years, and I've been blessed to stand beside him through every chapter of our lives. I'm Annette Umpinko Ada, and I humbly ask for your support and vote for my husband, Tony Ada, for Governor of Guam.
I'm Tony Ada, and I approve this message. Together, we'll put Guam first.
This shirt that I'm wearing, on top of I got it because it's my favorite color, and I bought it at Kmart. And I think it was like $12 or $14 or something like that, right? And I get, I hardly buy clothes actually. That's why you'll see like the clothes that I wear, they're always kind of like, I don't know if you watch daily, you'll see that like I recycle my clothes like quite a bit, right? And I have my favorites and stuff like that. But anyway, my point is that if I buy clothes, they're going to be mostly from Ross. And I have noticed that the prices have gone up because of inflation. And sometimes I'll get it from Kmart, and I don't really care about the brand names or anything like that. I don't care also to order online because I don't trust putting my card out there. But this is, and I realize that I enjoy a privilege, right? Like there's so many people in our island who cannot afford to throw away $12 or $14 or $16 to buy a new shirt. There are kids who don't even have toothbrushes, and that's why. And they if they don't have toothbrushes, they don't have running water, they don't have power, they don't have ways to clean themselves, or for their parents to clean them because of the sort of squalor that they live in, or the poverty that they live through. And that's why there are some DOE schools that have to open their doors at like 3 a.m, so that these kids and their families don't have to feel ashamed that they need public support in order to just be clean. And there our island, for quite some time, the poverty's gotten worse, right? The condition, and imagine all those of our friends and families who had to leave Guam over the past several years, over the past 7 years. Let's just call it for what it is. During the course of this administration, the thousands of our friends and families who've had to leave Guam through no fault of their own. And imagine if they stayed in Guam. Imagine how many homeless people there would be, or imagine the societal consequences of so many people who the economy doesn't serve. And whenever I hear Governor Lulianguro saying, "Oh, the economy is so strong," I get so upset because I'm like, for who? How disconnected are you? Because there are so many people on our island who struggle, and those who were lucky enough were able to get out so that they could make a better future for their families. But not everybody's lucky. Not everyone has the privilege to shop at Kmart or at Ross. Not everyone has the privilege of people in the administration who are able to shop at Louis Vuitton or at Gucci, or to show off their new Rolexes because they got great jobs or contracts. And there would be no problem really with people having nice things and showing off their nice things, and I would be the first to be like, that's a nice thing, good for you, that's so nice. And I don't have any ill feelings toward people who they work right and they get nice things because they worked hard, and that's their choice. That's what they wanted to do with their money that they earned. But when you're in a position of power and you receive that money through ill-gotten means, using public funds, that's one thing. That's one thing that upsets me. And that on its face, that on its own makes me not want to vote for you because of the corruption. On its own, the corruption turns me away from you. But when you are so set in your privilege that you that you behind closed doors laugh at people without homes and cars, and it's recorded, and then it comes out, and you don't apologize for it. You don't say that you're sorry, that it was wrong for you to laugh. And I'm talking about the Director of Public Works, Vince Ariola, who is among the top people in the Josh and Tina campaign. And then when you openly mock children with special needs, children living with disabilities, and you diminish the struggle and the love of their parents, who endure something that we are more and more aware of, because in our compassion as people who all we can afford is to wear hand-me-down clothes or shop at Kmart or Ross, or have to go from store to store to get the best deal on the milk that we like, or we know where the cheaper can of Libby's Tulip or the cheaper canister of Folgers or the knockoff brand, the Essential. Because we have greater compassion because we understand, greater compassion for the plight of parents who go through these things. When people in privilege who already are receiving this privilege in an unethical and even illegal way through corrupt means, through their cronyism, go on to mock openly children with special needs, then you know that something has gone terribly wrong with leadership, and you understand better why the past 7.5 years have been so horrible for the regular people of this island. And when I see people, and they're cronies, they're the people who are involved in their campaigns, they're the people who are receiving benefits off of our money that should be going to those children with special needs, that should be going to the people in poverty, that should be going to those who struggle. But they're the ones, they're receiving that money. That's our money that should be going to other people who really need it. When I see them online defending the actions of this administration, I want to say, what's wrong with you? Have you no heart? Have you no compassion? Why are your hearts so hardened that you can't understand this, what the people are going through? And I thought about this as I was watching that disgusting display of hard-heartedness, the mockery of children with disabilities that came straight from last night's rally for the Josh and Tina campaign. They were saying, let's go Guam, bring this to the election on August 1. That's this coming Saturday. And doing it by stepping on kids with disabilities. Who does that? And it wasn't, and people, and I'm happy that the regular people of this island saw it for what it was, because while there were some in that campaign that were saying, oh, that's just one guy. And then we were like, wait a minute, with our eyes, with our ears open, we saw and we heard in that 8-second clip, everybody laughing. Everyone in that crowd was laughing. So it's not just that one guy. And that one guy, he issued an apology, which is good. That's good. I mean, I appreciate his humility in issuing that apology. Where's the apology letters of everyone else who was in that crowd? I want to see those apology letters. I want to see those I'm sorries. Because it's a symptom of something growing, a cancer growing on this island, that we've closed off our hearts to the plight of the people. And so on the other side of the commercial break, I want to bring you that 8-second clip and have a discussion on it. And then after that, because what I've been able to internalize since, that unbelievable display of a lack of compassion is this isn't the first thing. This is a trend in this administration. Because before this, it was the director of public works laughing on a hot mic about people who don't have homes and people who don't have cars. And before that, it was a federal indictment and 1 million pages of evidence from an FBI investigation alleging that sectors of this administration, including the sister of the lieutenant governor of Guam, allegedly stole millions of dollars, not just from the federal government, but from the poor and the homeless. And before that, and this is the third segment, something that creeped into my memory as I was going through this. It was during the COVID days when there was a garage of an abandoned hotel filled with homeless people, and the government was aware of a super spreader event among those people in that garage, and the government did nothing. Nothing. So Dr. Vince Akimoto had to go in there himself, and I'll bring you that footage as well, and that reminder about how much this administration, for all of its fancy and polished and expensive commercials made and advertised with money that came from the wealthy of this island, they tell us that they care about the poor and the plight of the people on those commercials. And then their actions tell us a completely different story. We'll begin this discussion on the other side of the commercial break. Stick with us.
Leadership isn't measured by campaign promises. It's measured by a lifetime of keeping them. For years, Tony Atta has delivered results for the people of Guam. He authored Guam's Castle Doctrine, strengthening the rights of law-abiding citizens to protect themselves and their families. He passed laws protecting consumers, strengthened opportunities to bring more doctors and healthcare professionals to Guam, fought for small local businesses, and worked to make government serve the people, not the other way around. His record isn't built on speeches. It's built on action, on integrity, on keeping his word. That's what put Guam first means, putting our island first.
As your governor, I will lead with integrity, and every decision I make will put Guam first. I'm Tony Atta, and I humbly ask for your vote. I'm Tony Atta, and I approve this message.
Good Morning Show with Troy Torres is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Normally that Wendy's commercial makes me very hungry, but I'm a little too upset to feel hunger right now. So I'm almost certain that all of you have already seen it and have already discussed it with your families, with your friends, with your coworkers, and people online, right? But just in case you haven't or you're unaware of what this is, last night there were several gubernatorial campaigns that had rallies, and one of them was the Josh and Tina rally, and you knew it was happening because they were posting their all of the clips onto their stories on Instagram. And I got a message because I don't look at that stuff, right? Like my anxiety when it comes to politics as it gets closer to the election goes up considerably. So someone sent me a message and said, "Did you see on the stories? It's so disturbing that there was a guy who was making fun of children with special needs, and everybody was laughing." And it was I thought it was like some opposition politician person or political person, and I almost dismissed it. I almost just ignored it, like, because there's no way, right? No way that a political campaign would post something like that. And so, and you know what? Can I just be clear about something, just about myself, just taking ownership, right? When I was younger, I've said stupid things. I have when I was younger, I've said ignorant, like I've told racist jokes. I have made fun of different people, of different vulnerabilities. Like I'm not a good person, and my youth is something that I am not proud of whatsoever. Matter of fact, much of my time in church these days is remembering the stupid, dumb, sinful things that I've ever done, writing it down, and then going into confession like every week or every so often, every few days, if not every week, and confessing these things to Father Val. And it's just, you know, so, but I was young. Like I'm not young anymore. These people who did this last night, they're not young. These people who laughed, they're not young. They can't blame youthful mistakes. But more importantly, I have never sought to lead this island. The people involved in this, they're seeking to continue to lead. They are leading the island right now, and they're seeking to continue to lead the island. That's a very big contrast here. And so last night, when I looked at the stories, I was looking through it and I was like, oh, this is standard. I saw CNMI Governor David Apatang standing together with Josh and Tina on the Karosu, and I was like, what the hell is Governor Apatang doing at a political rally for Josh and Tina? And I was livid, and I kept that in the back of my mind. And then I just kept going. I was like, okay, this is standard stuff, right? They're just the excitement of their campaign or whatever. And then it got to a portion of the rally itself, and all you hear is the person on the microphone, and this is on their IG stories, meaning Josh and Tina were the ones, their campaign, they're the ones who uploaded this themselves. They felt so proud of this moment that they uploaded this to Instagram for the entire public to see. And in this moment, in the 8 seconds, oh, let me just play it for you. Let me just play for you what this guy says in those 8 seconds. Stand by as I try to remember where exactly I put this thing. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's go.
We're walking up the tree, you're in spare. You broke the short bus.
What the guy in the microphone says, he's the MC, he says, if you vote for number 1 or number 3, you went to SPED. You rode the short bus. SPED, of course, is a reference to the Special Education Division at the Guam Department of Education. Short bus is a derogatory reference to the bus that kids with special needs ride separately from the other kids for a number of reasons, including first and foremost the services that they might need, because they, you know, especially children with who live with physical disabilities, you know, might need wheelchair access, or they might be on stilts or crutches or whatever it's called. Children who might have emotional support issues or behavioral issues might need someone to be along with them. And then, of course, there's the issue of bullying, because kids will be kids. And sometimes kids aren't taught very well by their parents not to bully other kids who are different. And so, so that was the reference, right? And if you vote for number 1 or number 3, that's a reference to Therese Terlahi, who is number 1 on the primary election Democratic ballot, or Joe San Augustine, who is number 3 on the Democratic ballot. Josh and Tina are number 2 on the Democratic ballot. So what the guy, with the full context of what the guy was saying was, if you vote for Therese or Joe, then you went to SPED, or you were in SPED, and you rode the short bus, which is, of course, a mockery of children who live with special needs, who live with disabilities. And that runs the gamut. We're not just talking about kids with physical disabilities or severe mental health disorders. We're talking about, kids that have anywhere from mild ADHD, mild autism, all the way up the spectrum, to kids with severe, like quadriplegics and things like that, right? A lot of kids in this island have these issues. I have a nephew who has autism, very, very bright kid, but he has autism. And my brother put him at a certain school because that's where, he's able to get great services. And you talk to any parent who has a child who lives with some type of a special need, some type of a disability, and you understand that the greatest anxiety for that parent is dying, not because they don't want to die, but because they don't know, they're not entirely sure how their child will be autonomous after them. You know that the parent lives with the nightmare of their child being bullied or being physically hurt, especially if they have a physical disability. The parent who lives with the fear that, especially their children who have emotional or behavioral issues or mental health disorders might hurt somebody else or might hurt themselves. And so this is not the type of thing that you joke about. It's certainly not the type of thing that a political campaign should be joking about, should be using as a platform against their political opponents by stepping on children with disabilities. It's a very dangerous trend that we're seeing with this administration. And because it didn't start with this. This is the result. The fact that they can openly mock children with disabilities is the result of the failure of the politicians who are supposed to be the opposition to this administration. Their failure in calling this out every step of the way, every time something bad has happened or has come out from this administration, the other politicians' failure to call it out has allowed this to progress. This is the fault of the media, the failure of the media to do its job over the last 7.5 years to call this stuff out every step of the way. Every step of the way. In both news coverage and in courageous editorial content. And this is the fault of the citizens of Guam for not calling this out as well. Every step of the way that this has happened. And for those of you who have, thank you. Thank you for calling it out every step of the way and for never accepting that this type of behavior is okay, because this is not the first time. Because very recently, we all saw the director of public works, or not saw, but we heard the recording, his voice in a negotiation meeting with Cortec International, as he was at the same time that these guys were trying to give away $524 million to one of, if not the largest corporations on this island. Laughing at people without homes and without cars. How many editorials did you see written from the newsrooms of this island condemning that? How many apologies did you see coming out of Adelup and the Department of Public Works and the negotiation team about that? Zero. Nothing. We wrote an editorial, but we're just one news group. A tiny one, too. Where was the outrage about that? Because that is outrageous. That is not normal behavior. That is not the behavior of a dutiful citizen, much less a leader of this island. And what's worse, and it's the same thing that we saw in last night's thing, what's worse about that Vince Ariola thing is that everyone else in the room, all of them directors in the governor's cabinet, laughed at it. And that wouldn't even be the first instance, because before that, the federal government launched an indictment, or got an indictment from a multi-year investigation into more than 7 people, but 7 people were indicted, including the lieutenant governor's sister, Charissa Tenorio, his boyfriend, Matthew Tapasnia, and 5 other people, 4 of whom are employees of the government of Guam, and at the time of the alleged conspiracy were leaders in the government of Guam with responsibility over $1 billion in PUA funding. And the federal government in its investigation alleged, and it's in a current case right now that's awaiting trial in April of next year, that this gang of co-conspirators, alleged co-conspirators, led by allegedly Charissa Tenorio, the lieutenant governor's only sibling, stole millions of dollars, not just from the federal government, but according to the indictment and the warrants and the affidavits in the case, poor people. How much of the coverage in the news have you seen about those facts stated in these public documents? Because the coverage has been about stealing PUA from the federal government, but how much coverage have you seen about the allegation that the theft also was from the poor, even from homeless people? And even that would not be the first instance of the neglect of the poor and people struggling through a hard time, even people who are sick and dying. It's something that I completely forgot about in this administration because it was so long ago. It was back in 2020, where Dr. Vince Akimoto had to go to, what is that hotel called? The one that was blown up. It fell, or it had to be taken down after the August 8, 1993 earthquake. And then what was left was a parking garage. And that parking garage, I didn't know this because I'd never gone in there, was where scores of homeless people were finding refuge, were able to sleep, were able to put their head down at night and have some cover from the rain. And there was a time, and during that time, there were reports that there was a super spreader, that was a super spreader community, and no one in the government cared. No one reached out to them. So Dr. Akimoto and his son Kai, they asked for police escort, and they went before the crack of dawn to check on these people. And yet, we are treated to these political commercials. They are manicured. They are polished. They're very nice commercials. And they're all over the place because the Josh and Tina campaign has all this advertising money from big business. And you see their contributions to their campaign. These same big businesses that have received all of these contracts using our money. and money that could have been used instead to help the poor, to do something about the Chamorro Trust so that our people without homes or paying too much in rent more than they can afford can actually have a place to call a home. To use that money to feed kids during the summer who are starving because school is out and they don't have those free lunches. To do something about the homelessness situation, to help veterans with PTSD or who otherwise don't have the resources they are owed by this country for the sacrifices that they've made for all of us. No, instead, the money's gone to big business. And in turn, those big businesses have given the Josh and Tina campaign the resources that they need to run commercials that are polished, that say that they care about the struggle and the poor and the poverty and the conditions that our people live in, while at the same time, the conditions don't improve, and even worse, they mock people living in those conditions. Wake up, Guam. Wake up. And don't wake up just enough to be outraged. Don't wake up just enough to expect that somebody else is going to do this job as a citizen for you. This is on each and every one of us. Each of us as citizens. If you're registered to vote, it's this Saturday. The election is this Saturday. If you want to make that difference, the election is this Saturday. Because they don't care. It's very obvious that they don't care about the plight of, and it's not just the homeless, and it's not just the children with disabilities. But let me just tell you, if you can mock children, you can probably commit a whole lot of crimes. But if you can mock children with disabilities and treat it only as a political issue, one of the things that that's severe here, one of the like a fallout from this, and has nothing to do with politics, but it's the stereotypes. Do you guys realize, because I'm sure the administration doesn't care, but do you guys realize how difficult it is for a parent to convince their child to ride that bus? Or to be known as someone who receives services from the Special Education Division of the Guam Department of Education? You want to know why parents have issues, even though they really want their kids to receive these services? Why they have issues convincing their kids that this is okay? It's because these kids, they're ashamed of their conditions. They're embarrassed to be known because as people who have these conditions, because of the fun that's made of them by adults, by the leadership of this island, by the freaking Lieutenant Governor of Guam, that they ride the short bus or that they're in SPED. So how much have we regressed in this one? It hasn't even been a 24-hour period. In the last 18 hours, imagine how much harder the lives of these parents and these kids have become because of this 8 seconds. Truly, these people have lost connection to our suffering, if they even had a connection to our suffering. And that comes, my dear friends, from privilege. And the thing about it is that that privilege wasn't even earned except for the spoils of an election. That the privilege was taken by them by taking our money. They're using our own money. This is on us. They're using our money for their privilege. The man issued, the one who's made the statement, he issued an apology. And that's, I commend him for that. I do. But like I said, Where's the I'm sorry letters from everybody in that crowd who was laughing? And more importantly, the Josh and Tina campaign, they issued a public apology as well. And that public apology was issued 4 hours after that utterance, 4 hours after that 8-second clip. What I would like to know, because this is what true leadership would have done, what I would like to know, why didn't Josh Tenorio, as soon, because he was there, he was in the crowd as well. Why didn't he walk up to the stage, take the microphone from that guy, and admonish everybody and tell everybody exactly what he said 4 hours later? Why didn't he say that right then and there? And I'll tell you why, my friends. It's because them winning this campaign and having their supporters is more important to them than children with disabilities. More important to them than people struggling through hard times. More important to them than poverty. More important to them than the fact that you have to scrounge around and worry maybe 2 days after you get your paycheck, wondering how you're going to make it to the next paycheck. It's because to them winning and keeping their supporters is more important to them than how much you struggle with the price of gas, the cost of housing, power. Kids being clean, having toothbrushes, eating during the summer. If you want to make an impact, because outrage is not enough, you have to turn that outrage into conscience, into clear thinking, reasonable conscience. And I suppose if there's one thing that you can thank the guy on the microphone for saying, it is the choice that he very clearly gave everybody in that 8 seconds, at the beginning of that 8 seconds. And it was number 1 or number 3. If you want to take action, if you want your outrage to turn into something that is good, that is beautiful, that is blessed, that is going to say something in defense of children with disabilities, then this Saturday, my friends, go and vote. Take the Democratic ballot, because it is your right. You don't have to be a Democrat. Go pick up that Democrat ballot and vote for number 1 or for number 3. It's really that simple. Those are the actions. Those are the options that we have as voters in this body politic. That's where it counts. Election day. We'll post the election precincts so that you're aware where you're able to go and vote. We'll post that on Kandit's WhatsApp channel. You can, if you're not a member of the WhatsApp channel, you can search for it under channels on WhatsApp, and we'll also post it, of course, on our Facebook and our Instagram. On the other side of the commercial break, I want to bring you a reminder, and that is what Vince Ariola, the Director of Public Works, said about people who are homeless and people who don't have cars, and how he laughed at all of them, and how all the other directors in the room who are part of Governor Lou Leon-Guerra's cabinet laughed at them as well. We'll talk about that on the other side of the commercial break. Stick with us. Welcome back to the show. It is now 9:09 a.m. on Monday, July 27, 2026. My name is Troy Torres. Let me play for you. This was, I believe, July 29. Oh, almost 1 year ago. Or less than 1 year ago. Right? Yeah, less than 1 year ago. Well, less than 1 year ago. July 29, 2025. This was, at the time, it was a closed door meeting. But because of what the transparency laws or the open government laws are, there was someone who recorded this meeting. And this recording was posted onto the Department of Public Works website. It was a recording of meeting number 5 of the negotiations between the government of Guam and Cortec on what was supposed to be an award of $524 million to Cortec to build Simon Sanchez High School, which of course has fallen into complete scandal. And this was probably unbeknownst to the people in the room, but whoever was responsible for the recording pressed record well before the meeting started. This was during a time when the group was around the table and they were waiting for Ho Yun and his team from Cortec to show up and to begin the negotiations. So here, my friends, is what the Director of Public Works, Vince Areola, thinks about people without homes and without cars, and what everybody else and how everybody else around the table who were Government of Guam directors, as in appointees of Governor Lulian Guerrero, and part of the Josh and Tina campaign, thought that that was funny.
Take relocation well.
I just got
Family's gone back.
invited to a
I want to see the
public hearing. There's a bill
wherever they're gonna
that
buy a house.
gives the authorization to Public Works to determine the number. Yeah, I'm even laughing already. It says the authority to determine the number of parking spots for a homeless facility.
If they're homeless, they're probably carless too.
I'm just serious. What? Because they don't have cars, right? I don't know. You could go all kinds. You could say all kinds of jokes with that for your bill, right? I was like, where did this come from?
You know, it's time wasting.
And the problem is,
Maybe they have what time.
they're not even going to go to those facilities. You know, the one we're just about done with in Anigua? I just don't see them going there. There's too many rules. And that's why they're homeless, because they don't want rules.
Yeah. I mean, there's only like 24, so you might get 24 there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's
I don't know, I hope so. I you know, trust me, I want to take them off the streets and off their encampments, because our guys have to clean up those encampments, and it is not a pretty sight.
That's pretty good.
Blah. Yeah. So yeah, when I saw that bill, we're gonna be in charge of the number of parking spots in a homeless facilities. I mean, the jokes you could do with that one.
So, which bright person is sponsoring that?
On a Saturday, I did, you know how we're doing we're presenting to you our interviews, our one-on-ones, or not one-on-ones, but candidates interviews with across the table from the gubernatorial candidates. So on Saturday, we recorded our interview with Therese Terlahi and Sabina Perez. And during that interview, which we're going to play tonight, by the way, the Terlahi Perez is going to be tonight. It's scheduled for tonight. Blas Okada was last night. And the interview that we had with Josh Tenorio was, we played that on Saturday night. So during the interview, Senator Terlahi reminded me about something that happened back in 2019. It was her first year as a senator, I think. She was the speaker, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, I think she was the vice speaker at the time. So she reminded me about this story about a 4-year-old girl who was homeless. I know, right? When you think about the homeless, you don't think that there's homeless children. But anyway, a 4-year-old girl who was homeless, and they were staying at this not safe place in Agana. And by the way, they're talking about what Vince Ariola was laughing about was a homeless facility in Agana. Was about the progress of a homeless facility for homeless people in Agana. And remember what he was saying? He was like, they just don't want to follow the rules. That's why they're homeless. Like, as with all his privilege saying that, right? But let me remind you about in 2019 when a 4-year-old girl was raped. And when Senator Terlahi asked, why wasn't she in a shelter where there was someone to watch, where it would be safe? What she was told by the government was that there wasn't enough room at the shelter. Wasn't enough room so that a 4-year-old girl could be safe through the night in a shelter. And then you have Vince Ariola poking fun at people without homes and people without cars and saying in an official proceeding of the government of Guam that the homeless don't even want to go there because they don't want to follow the rules, and that's why they're homeless. Tell that to the father of that 4-year-old girl, Vince. And what makes the whole thing worse is the context of that meeting. People say, a clip is only, one part of something. There's a full context. There sure as hell is a full context to this. And here's the full context to that meeting. That's the same meeting where Vince Ariola and those directors were making fun of homeless people and people without cars. It's the same meeting where they were content to give away $524 million in our money, your money and my money, to one of, if not the largest corporations on this island, Cortec, one of the biggest contributors to the Josh and Tina campaign, to build one public facility. So not only were we getting ripped off with the blessings of this administration in this meeting, this administration also was making fun of the poor people who could use $524 million, if for anything, to have shelter through the night so that a 4-year-old girl would not be raped and would not be homeless in Agana. So are we surprised at all? One iota that all those people at the Josh and Tina rally would laugh at the expense of children with disabilities? Again, my friends, we're outraged right now, right? But it has to turn into action. It's got to mean something. And there is a duty that we have as citizens, as voters, to turn this outrage into something that is good, something that is positive. And we actually get that opportunity in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in 5 days. In just 5 days, we actually get to have this opportunity to turn this outrage into something positive by voting. And if you want to be direct about it, because you can vote on the Democrat side or you can vote on the Republican side, it's truly up to you. But if you want to make a direct impact, if you want to show a direct message to this administration that you've had enough of their BS, you've had enough of them forgetting about us, then take the Democrat ballot. Vote on the Democrat side. And again, according to that guy on the mic, vote for number 1 or vote for number 3. It's that simple. On the other side of the commercial break, I want to show you footage from 2020 that will remind you about not just what the homeless go through. And by the way, the footage is kind of a little hard to see because, I mean, if you've never seen this side of the island before and what these people go through, you might be in for a rude awakening about what it is that you'll see. But on the other side of this short commercial break, I'll bring you a 3-minute clip about what happened in 2020 when the government forgot about the poor people who were dying again.
You asked, we delivered. Guam AutoSpot is extending our overstock sell-off with the hottest deals on island, like our 2025 GMC Canyon with $4,000 off. Or slide into a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, starting at just $24,995. September is your chance to drive big and save even bigger. Visit us today or get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO. Guam AutoSpot, where the savings never stop.
Decorated.
Bring the patrol cars. Hello, talk to me. We just want to make sure you guys are okay. Hello? You guys okay? Guys, are you okay? Hello? Woo! We're just checking if you're okay. Are you okay? Sir, I got a doctor here. He just wants to check some of you guys if you guys are doing okay, okay? We have a doctor here to check on you guys, alright?
Sir, I'm Dr. Akimoto from American Medical Center. We're just trying to check on everybody to make sure you don't have any coronavirus. We're worried about the coronavirus. I hope not. Are you coughing? No. Okay. Anybody who's listening, we're just checking on you guys because they said that there were some people from this area that got infected. So they might have been spreading it around. I know. You're not it? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But do you mind if I just check your temperature? You're going to check your temperature and make sure you don't have a fever. All right, sir. Stay safe, okay? You just let everybody know if they're sick, they need to go to the clinic so that we can check to make sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello? Woo! Woo! Hello? Woo! Hey, sir, you guys okay? Hey, brother, we have a doctor. He just wants to check you guys if you guys are okay. There's a couple of people that were sick around here. Is it okay to check you guys? It's a doctor.
We tell people if they're sick, they're not in trouble. Make sure they're Sir, I'm Dr. Akimoto. Nice to meet you. Sorry to bother you. Do you mind if I just check your temperature? Just let people know if you don't mind that we don't want anybody to get sick. And we can do the testing. All right. And is there anybody else?
Testing
Did you come and test me?
Is anyone on top of?
Chris, but at least we got the word out and
And as long as you give flyers, they'll probably pass it out to the people.
Thank you guys. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't think there's anything more that I need to say about this. Be a voice for the voiceless, my friends. And the lucky thing for us as voters, as citizens with duties, is we get a chance to have that voice for ourselves and for others who don't have that voice just 5 days from now. The election, my friends, it's just 5 days from now. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. You all have a beautiful day. God bless you and God bless the poor people of this island.
Tony and I got married at an early age, and back then, we didn't have much. But from the very beginning, Tony was determined to create a better future for our family. Shortly after we were married, Tony joined the Army and we moved to our first duty station at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Those weren't always easy years, but they taught us the importance of sacrifice, faith, and commitment. What I've always admired about my husband is that he's the same person at home that people see in the public. He's honest, he's humble, and he genuinely cares about people. He's a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grandfather. Tony and I have been together for 43 years, and I've been blessed to stand beside him through every chapter of our lives. I'm Annette Umpinko Ada, and I humbly ask for your support and vote for my husband, Tony Ada, for Governor of Guam.
I'm Tony Ada, and I approve this message. Together, we'll put Guam first.